Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going over the installation of the all-metal extruder for the Ender 3 or Ender 3 Pro. This you can get right now online on Amazon for about $11, and I will include a link to that down below. This is something, if you've dealt with these machines much at all, the extruder that comes with it is plastic, and it does tend to break on one of the arms. And this is something that hasn't happened with this printer yet. A lot of times I recommend buying this and then just replacing it whenever the plastic one breaks, but I'm actually building this one for my grandfather. I want him to have as little issue with it as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it out so that he doesn't have to deal with that when it comes up. And then he can just have that plastic one as an emergency backup if anything were to happen with the aluminum one. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay guys, so to get this all-metal extruder on, you can see this is the plastic one. And this arm right here tends to be what breaks or cracks right up in this area, and makes it so that you don't have good tension. It won't feed filament well. So this is what we're going to switch out. You do need the toolkit that came with your Ender 3 to do this. I've got all that laid out right here, and we're going to get this installed. First thing you're going to do is take this section of the extruder and the little fitting here. The metal kit comes with pretty much all the screws and everything that you need that is in this. A lot of these though I'm going to reuse, and I'm going to hold on to those as just spares since I've already got them here. But this piece right here is a different thread size than the one in the plastic piece. So we're going to leave that in there, and we're going to put this one into this little threaded section. Don't know why I didn't want to focus on me, but then you will just grab your wrench here and tighten that down. You don't want to go so tight that you strip it, but you do want it snug there. Okay, we will set that aside. We're going to start removing this one. Okay, I will try and do this as clear as I can without getting my hands in the way. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to unscrew this piece right here. And even completely loose, there is going to be some spring tension in here. And there is a little piece sitting right inside this edge that this screw screws into. And you don't want to lose that, so just keep an eye on it. Okay. Next we're going to go ahead and pull our tube out. So we're going to just lift this little fitting here and push in, pull on the tube. Then we're going to come in with our smaller Allen key, remove the screws holding this onto that stepper motor. No, I'm in the way here, but it's just going to be this one, this, and then there's going to be more we'll get to. You do not need to unscrew these two on each side of the Z screw here. To the bigger one, this little pulley here with the screw on the top has to come out as well. And there is going to be a little, get to focus, a little washer on there with this pulley. And I believe this plastic extruder has actually come broken from the factory. So glad we'll look and make sure I'm seeing it right, but I'm pretty sure it is. As I said, I'm building this for my grandfather. I don't want him to have issues, so I was going to go ahead and replace everything I kind of already know. I'm going to, okay, so right now as I'm unscrewing, I'm keeping an eye on this spring. It is loose enough now that I think I can just work it out. You can see this is the piece I was talking about. Just set that aside. Keep unscrewing this arm. Okay. Unscrew. There is a little washer in here as well, and that is also a piece that I'm going to keep with the plastic because I have a metal one here as well. And I was right. Look at this from the factory. You can see that crack right there. That is a very common failure in these, usually after they've run for a while. Wish it would focus in better, but I think you can see that crack right there. That's right there is why you want to switch over to these metal extruders. You're not going to have that issue with these. And this is new, so I could send it back, but I don't plan on using that part anyway. Now as this lowers, this is going to become detached, the stepper motor, so you can just keep your hand underneath it while you're taking this last screw out. Remember this screw because it is different than the others. And you're just going to drop this stepper motor out of the bottom. Unplug the switch right here. You can leave that plugged in if you've got somewhere to set it, but for me, just easier to set it out of the way. And then we'll get started with the new one. There's no cracks in this part, but we will set this right here. And then, as I said, most of the screws and parts came with the other one, but I'm going to use the ones that were already in there. So we'll come up from underneath. Get this first screw in. We're not going to tighten it all the way down because we do want to get these other ones aligned, but once it's in, you are not going to have issues with it falling, so you can let that stepper motor go. I know I'm blocking again, but I'm just putting this flat-headed one in, and it goes underneath the arm. Then this one. I'm going to do this top corner. These are just the ones that don't require other parts, like that other arm going on. Okay. Now that we got 3 in, I'm going to go back and tighten these up a bit. You still want to be careful not to strip anything. Okay. Then we're going to take the new arm and this piece, which looks almost like a little T, and it's the same as that plastic little washer I showed you, just drops right into here. Okay guys, I'm going to split over to another clip real quick. I just realized that I didn't actually show one step of the process here. On that arm there is a little hole and that's threaded, and there is a flathead screw that comes with the metal kit, and you're just going to screw that into that hole on the arm and tighten it down. Purpose of that is to hold the other end of that spring we're getting ready to put on in place, And without it, you do have a chance of that spring working loose. So I just wanted to go ahead and add this in real quick before we got to that section. You'll get this longer screw up right on the top there, and you can screw this down. Now I am not going to make this completely tight. I like having a little wiggle room in it so that I can grab the spring, make sure that little plunger is back in there, and that goes towards this side. So I'm going to just stick this in. This is actually a different size too, so I will be using one of the smaller screws from the other kit. And it doesn't have to be in all the way, it's just there to basically hold that from slipping, and you can adjust some tension on it later. So we will go ahead and finish tightening this part down. Okay, so then we're going to grab this wheel here, and we've just left this together from the old one. It's still got that little spring on it, and you are going to have to compress this arm. Okay, you'll have to compress this arm a little bit just to clear that geared tooth. Then you can come in, tighten this down. You should be able to, if you squeeze it off that gear, you should be able to still roll that pulley there. And then this little screw, now that it's in there, I tend to just tighten until I see movement. So right there. Okay. So that's basically just tightened all the way down on these metal ones. Then you're going to take your Bowden tube, push it back in, and make sure you get that all the way in there. You can end up with feeding issues. Put your clip back in, and you've got your metal hot end set up. All you've got left to do is to grab your little plug here and plug that stepper motor back in. Okay, you should be set. Okay guys, we got that metal extruder upgraded. I think it's hilarious that, you know, going into this, before I'd even taken that apart, that was already broken. Again, this is a brand new machine, just out of the box put together, hasn't even been started up yet. and that is just a known issue. I went ahead and ordered that. With any new printer, I automatically switch to the metal extruder because that one part breaks pretty much constantly. So I definitely recommend doing that upgrade. I am going to include a link in the description down below on where to get that, and there is actually a kit that I will link to as well that has all the upgrades that I tend to do to most of my printers, and that's usually going to be your best value. So that's the one I always recommend going with. If you found value, go ahead and hit that like button. We'll see you in a future video.